Angela, today we're really excited. We know it's January 18th, mid-January, but it's still new, right? January is still new. We're still kicking off the new year, leaving 2018 behind, moving into something new for 2019. And, we're getting to the time where people start to kind of maybe move away from what they maybe have envisioned for themselves on December 31st to January 1st. So we want to bring that back, a little bit more deeper into January. And today we want to talk about reflecting on 2018 and releasing the things that may have held you back and kept you heavy so that you can open up to something new and something light, something just open up the gateways for all the awesomeness in 2019. Right, Angela?
Yes. Sound good, everyone?
Well, I'm stoked. And so we've got some great stuff to chat with you guys today. In a little bit, I'm going to share some recipes and powerful food tips to help you, transition or, progress into the new year feeling good and light and healthy as can be. But to start things out, I'm going to pass the torch off to Angela, and she's going to take you on a little adventure.
Yay. Thanks, Danielle. All right, you guys. So it's not too late to set intentions and to release 2018. If you haven't kind of gone on that train, or maybe you made a resolution, but you feel like it's not going very well, it's not too late. Every day is a new day. Anyway, let's start out by I recommend that you have a journal or a notebook with you so you can take some notes. Make this exercise I'm going to take you through really powerful for you, and something that you can actually look back at in like 6 months from now and be able to sort of just kind of see what amazing progress you have created just by having a little more focus and intention on what you really want to create. So please right now grab a pen and paper or your journal and let's get started. Because right now I know that your reality might be a lot of fatigue. It might be, dealing with heart palpitations, crazy digestion stuff going on, mental fogginess, and all those symptoms create a lot of overwhelm, right? And they can feel very constrictive in the body. And so we need to open that up. We need to release that. That's what we're going to explore today, is kind of tap into it a little bit, tap into 2018 in order to kind of find some little nuggets that we can actually use to create our healing. So really taking our healing to the next level. And that's what I'm really excited to do with you today. So let's reflect a wee bit here, even though you might be looking back at 2018, like, I really don't want to look at it. It was too intense. I just want to take you there for just a moment. So take a moment and just, if you want to close your eyes and take a look back at your 2018. And I want you to think of just the biggest struggle that was up for you. And just getting real with it for a moment. Okay, and if you want, you can jot it down on the paper. Okay, so
I was just going to say, got my journal and I'm going to do it too.
Awesome. Yay. Okay, she's gonna do this with us. So, okay, your biggest struggle. Okay. What is one thing that you have learned from this struggle? And I know this can be hard sometimes to pick out, but I want you to think about what has been one aha, or maybe even, if you will, be open to this idea of what gift has this struggle given you? What awareness and information has it provided for you? And I want to share just briefly, in my life that I remember, like, for me, adrenal fatigue in my recovery journey was a big wake-up call for me to slow down. A big message ringing loud and clear was that I needed to slow down. I needed to take more time for joy. And so I just want you to see if you can kind of dig a little bit deep and be really honest with yourself and think about what's one thing, even though it has been a struggle, what's one thing that you feel like you can take away? What has one thing that you have learned? Okay, and jot that down, and feel free, I want you to come back to this later too. So maybe jot down some notes, just will help you remember once you're doing this on your own. Okay, And what are the 3 biggest discoveries from this past year that you would like to put down and acknowledge? I'll give you another minute here. Okay, moving on. Taking it to sort of the next level of what was your biggest accomplishment in regards to your health this year? Was it shifting something in your diet? Was it acknowledging that you needed to slow down? Maybe it was incorporating some more time for you, taking some things off your plate. Or maybe you want to think of it more in the physical, like, okay, I was able to, like, this symptom, I've eliminated this symptom, or, you know, migraines or something, it got better. So see if you can acknowledge and write that down. Okay. All right. So in our community, we hear a lot in the Facebook page, in the Facebook group, about people are always emailing us talking about how hard this process is and how hard it is to heal. Okay. And so I know that that is a very much a belief of many people in our community, and there is no judgment about that. But I'm curious if you really hold strong and hold true to that belief, and would you be willing to actually maybe make it, be open to it not being so complicated? Yeah? Because when we have a really strong belief and hold really true to a belief like that, it's also very much a limitation. And it's really hard for our body to create anything different when our mind is set on something. Okay? Because our thoughts create our reality. I know many of you heard me say that a lot, and whether you believe it or not, would you be willing to give it a try? Your thoughts create your reality, not the other way around. And I've seen it over and over again in my life and within my clients. So there you go.
And Angela, I just wanted to add to that.
Yes, please.
I think there are many people out there, and so some of you guys might be able to relate to this, but you know, you dream of getting better. So you might not actually consciously, or you might kind of be in denial that you have these limiting beliefs that it's complicated, it's really complicated, it's really hard, that recovery isn't possible for you. I know I've spoken to a lot of people like that who are kind of resisting that they actually have those feelings.
Yeah.
So I just want to call on you guys, if that's something that resonates with you, that you have these, you know, you dream of getting better and you want that for yourself, but deep down, maybe you have something like in the way that you're thinking about things, and the way that, like Angela said, the way that you're, you know, the complexity maybe that you've put around your adrenal fatigue or the health issue you're suffering with, that could be acting as a block. And it's even a bigger block when you're not really willing to shine that light on it. So I just wanted to
yeah, we're going to dive into that
there
a little bit later. That's awesome. We're going to dive deeper into that in just a few minutes too. And that's so true. And I remember when my coaches like did the same thing to me, like made me think about this stuff and like really tested, like really pushed me. And it pissed me off so much when they would ask me these questions, but I can't tell you how powerful they were. And so what I've learned about myself, and even though I've healed myself from adrenal fatigue, don't get me wrong, I still have other things going on in my world, other challenges I face in my life, health and other things. And this, I come back to this all the time because, again, our thoughts create our reality. And if we're stuck in them, there's nothing that can change. Our physical body is sort of stuck there in that place until we admit that maybe we have those beliefs, those limiting beliefs. And when we can start to release them, be honest with ourselves. So be honest first, then you can release them, then something different can show up. Okay. So on that kind of on that plane here, we're going to take it to the next level. And so kind of letting 2018 go in a sense, right? So we have these, let's say you do have these beliefs and you're pretty aware of them. So congratulations for being really honest with yourself and being aware of those limiting thoughts. You might not know what they are. And that's a lot of what we do with, with clients. So we'd be happy, I love doing this with clients so we can get really real on what those things actually are and dig a little bit deeper to find exactly what they are. But let's go ahead and we know we have these judgments. Are we willing to kind of put them all in a black paper bag and just throw them out so something different can show up in our lives? So what do you know? So let's move, so this is moving forward, 2019, here we come. What do you know about your healing and your body that you're not willing to admit to yourself, or you haven't been willing thus far, but you're about to be willing to be more aware of? So I'm trying to think how I want to, what do you know about your healing that you're not willing to admit to yourself? And because a lot of us disempower ourselves and think that only doctors can tell us what we know or tell us what is right. And we forget that we have an inner knowing and these messages that like constantly knocking symptoms, whether it's symptoms or like we have these little messages coming through, but we tend to ignore them. So for me, again, adrenal fatigue was a huge wake-up call that I needed to slow down. And if I didn't slow down, then not only would I deal with, stress-related conditions for the rest of my life, but I would truly be just unhappy. And so what do you know needs to happen? This sort of leads into the next question. So we can kind of meld these two together. What do you know you need to do, but you're refusing to do it? Yeah, and any shame or blame that came up, let's just destroy and uncreate all of that. There's really no time for that. I know it comes up for all of us, but just remember, like, you have done the best that you can with the tools that you've had so far, and trust that. And we can just let the shame and blame, there's no need for it. And so, yeah, what is something that you know needs to shift? Is it cutting certain people off from your life, like that are just toxic for you? Is it taking something out of your diet that's been toxic to your body and your gut? What is that? Okay, so this kind of goes, I'm going in a little bit deeper to what Danielle was kind of touching on, and I think that's kind of where she was going. I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. And again, this really pisses people off, so I'm going to just warn you up front. I learned it from my mentors. It pissed me off. And but I'm going to ask the same question of you because it's powerful and it can shift a lot. When I do this with my clients, when they're willing to be honest with themselves, we have huge, huge breakthroughs. Okay, there is a belief that we have a condition, and the way that we create certain conditions in our lives is based on a need that we had it at one point. And I'm going to give you an example, okay? So for me, quick story, I've had allergies probably for the past like 15 years. And I'm pretty aware of like what I choose in my life. I'm really big in like, we choose a lot, even though a lot of it is subconscious. I'm aware of when I've chosen certain things in my life, and there was a need in my life where I wasn't getting attention that I needed from my family, particularly. And so I noticed people around me who had allergies were getting lots of attention. Okay. And so I remember being like, wow, what would it be like to have allergies? And I know this might seem kind of crazy to you if this idea is new to you. So just, bear with me. So there is this idea, and what I learned from my mentors is when we have a need, we sometimes create a condition, again, most often subconsciously, to be able to support us, to be able to get what we want in a really interesting way. And so I just wanted to share that my truth and be really honest and vulnerable with you about what I have chosen so that you could just kind of see an example of what I'm trying to say. So is there a lot of times when I work with clients, I'll give you another example of some of my clients without saying their names, is that a lot of times people with adrenal fatigue are so driven. And the only way that they they really just want to, like, maybe it's their job that's just making them miserable, or a relationship that's making them miserable, and they desperately want to get out of the situation, and they've asked to get out of the situation, and then they get sick, or adrenal fatigue shows up. So it's not that they're asking for the symptoms. It's not like you're asking for adrenal fatigue, but you're asking to get out of a situation that you know is not good for you, that isn't in your highest potential, that isn't truly true for you, and you're not living your fullest potential. Then you create something in order to um, that's my train of thought. Oh, so you create something in order to get yourself out of that situation. Okay. So again, if you are willing to be brutally honest with yourself, is there anything that you might have created in your world? Is there anything you were desperately trying to get out of? If you can think of when these symptoms started, is there something that is there a need that you had that created this condition? That's the question. Okay. That's a big one.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It is a big one. And it's something that we actually see this all the time. There is often something there, and sometimes you have to dig for it, but it's crazy what might come up for you when you start exploring that.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen that in cases with a client who she described this acne that she suddenly was breaking out with as angry. Like, my face is so angry. And it was really interesting to explore with her, you know, what was going on in her life at the time that would maybe be sparking anger. And like, was it with someone? And we discovered the anger was something actually within herself. She was angry at herself, and she had a little bit of inner work that she had to do. But it was really, it's so amazing the messages your body gives you.
Yeah. And the way that she was able to actually express it, so that's the inner knowing I'm talking about. Like, the way that she even described it. Like, I don't hear many people using it as like, that I'm angry, my skin's angry, or whatever, how she said that. That in itself is a very strong knowing of her own beautiful way of being able to express it, so that you could hear it actually too as a coach, and be able to support her in the process. Awesome.
Yeah, it came out clear that time, but she didn't even realize it. It was just the way that she was speaking. And, you know, for those of you out there, it might come out clear, it might be a little bit more subtle, but investigate it, be your own detective. And I'm so curious what's going to pop up for you.
Yes, definitely. Oh, honesty. We don't always want to be honest with ourselves, but when we are, that's the thing, that when we are honest with ourselves, that's when we can shift. It's people who don't want to be real and don't want to look at the stuff that are kind of just going to perpetuate. It's going to just keep continuing that perpetual cycle. So if you're resistant to it, if it's triggering you, that's totally okay. But would you be willing to try it? Would you be willing to look at that and see if you can look at it completely with no judgment? Like, you've done the best you can with the tools that you've had so far. Now I'm giving you new tools. So what can you create with just being truly honest with yourself?
And if I may, sorry, Angela, with your question that you just asked, you know, like, what is it that you know that you're resisting, or, you know, what's something that your body needs, but you have kind of refused to do it? That's often a trigger. And then, like you said, it kind of pisses people off, and sometimes to think about it, but it's often, guys, there's one thing that you're kind of like resisting. And that could be the weak link in your chain, you know, the one thing that if you actually committed to making that change, you know, for many people, it might be sleep, you know, bad habits around sleep or coffee, something in the diet. There's, you know, it could be anything. But when you make that one change that you've been resisting, it's just insane, Angela, like the momentum that we see sparked. Yeah. Once you kind of stepped out of that resistance.
I see it over and over. Resistance is a condensed energy. Okay. So if you can think about it as we are energetic beings. So when we are in resistance, there's no way that anything can shift. And so, so that's really cool. I love, I'm a big fan of the word resistance. So let's, release the resistance by opening up to having more awareness, more information come through, and let's see what can show up. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I know I want to give Danielle the floor in just a minute, but some fun questions to play with for creating your 2019, the year of your dreams. I want you to share with me, what would you like your reality to be with your health and your body in 2019? What would you like your reality to be with your health and your body in 2019? And this is like, go big here. This is not, try not to be super realistic. I mean, it can be like, because I said 2019 and not like in the next 5 years, you know, you don't have to go super big, but like give yourself like saying if miracles, if you're open to miracles happening, what would you like to see show up for you and your body and your health in 2019? And I'd like you to list 10 things, and I'm going to make you at least do 5. Okay. At the very least, you have to come up with 5. Okay. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Again, just jot some ideas down, and then you can come back to it. Okay, hope you got some notes down, so you can come back to it. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to think of a word. What would be a really fun thing to create in your world in 2019? Like if you could pick one word, would it be, I want more joy, I want more laughter, I want more happiness, I want more calm? And hopefully you want it, like I want you to pick something that's more positive. What are you looking to create more of in your life? So if you already wrote a few words down from the question above, it might come from there. You want to create, maybe the word is energy. And it might not come to you right now, and that's okay, but I want you to think about it over the next 24 hours and see if that word just comes to you. Maybe it comes to you in the shower, right, when you're not thinking about it. Okay, so that word is going to be like it's going to be like your mantra for the year. Okay, so I'm just going to ask a question. As you know, I love questions because it opens up the energy to greater things to show up in your life. So I want you to play with, wouldn't it be nice? Or what would it take for me to have more of blank? And then you're going to put in your word. Okay, your kind of your theme mantra for this year. Wouldn't it be nice if, or what would it take for me to have more of joy, energy, calm, magic, healing, miracles, whatever it is, in 2019? And that can be your mantra every single day. See if you can do it 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night for at least the next week, hopefully the next month. And that could just be, could be your New Year's resolution or intention, and see what even just little shifts you'll see in your mind when you start to play with that mantra. It can shift a lot, and it can shift a lot very quickly if you're open to it. Okay, I'm going to hand the floor over to Danielle. Thank you all for participating and going through my little journey. And please feel free to comment, question, reach out to us, email. I'd love to hear your process, kind of what you went through, what this was like for you. And, so drop me a line. And here, Danielle, it's all you.
Thanks, Angela. Mm-hmm. And I just have to say, before I dive into food, I love how you wrap it all up with that question. And instead of affirming something, I know affirmations can be hard for some of us sometimes when we're a little stuck and we don't actually maybe believe them. And we're almost faking it till we make it. That's kind of like the whole thing with affirmations. We're just saying it like with intention and with belief behind it. But sometimes there's like a little bit of resistance there.
Yeah.
But it becomes easier when you're just asking a question, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's nothing to hide. There's nothing fake about it. You're simply asking a question.
Yeah.
And every day is different, right? Like when you do yoga, some days, every day is different in the way that you feel and the way that things come to you and the flow in your body. And you never know what's going to come to you when you keep asking questions like that, open-ended.
Yep.
Like what's going to come to you and what's going to just give you this breakthrough or this aha moment where it could shift everything for you.
Yes.
So I just love it. I love it so much.
I love that. And me too. I know it's a new affirmation. It really is. And it's changed a lot for me. And I just want to remind you on that note, like, be the energy of the question, right? Don't be in the place of I have to answer the question. Just be the energy of the question. And that's really fun too, is like, because if you're like, oh, what would it take for me to have more energy? And when you say energy, you actually feeling that feeling of having energy. Does that make sense?
So cool.
Yeah. And your body's going to start to actually like replicate that. The more you do it, the body starts to recognize what that feeling is, and then it can actually create it.
So guys, I really encourage you, like Angela said, integrate that into your routine for the next week at least, hopefully the next month. And we want you to let us know, how that goes for you.
Mm-hmm.
So actually do it, because that's where the magic is, in actually doing it.
Yes. And like, this is awesome stuff. This is what my clients pay me a lot of money to do with them. So I'm giving us a lot of like juicy nuggets here. So take them and use them.
Okay. We're all going to run with it, right? Let's do it, guys. And on that note, let's step into something delicious, something light, and a huge topic for a lot of us, as we enter the new year. And that is diet or food. And, food is the beautiful thing about food is that it's a choice that we are making several times a day, right? And I know there's so much complexity around it because, and especially now, we're kind of like have these two different worlds coming together where people are embracing high fat, keto diets, limiting the grains and stepping away from maybe what we are used to eating traditionally. And then there's still this other world where it's an abundance of fruit and veggies and grains and limiting the fats and the meats. And so I know there's so much confusion on how and what we should be eating. And, some of you may have found something that works for you, and that's great. Today, I just want to keep things really, really light and really simple and give you guys something that's practical and attainable for anybody. Just take away the heaviness, take away the restrictions, and let's work on kind of creating something that just like really feels good for you, to open the doors to just feeling light and open and ready for like magic and health and just feeling like energized and beautiful in 2019.
Yay.
And what's cool about food is that like what you eat can actually make you feel heavy physically, but like emotionally too. So I think that's so interesting because when I ask the question, and here we come back to questions, Angela, I want to ask like, when you think eating light, like eating something that makes you feel light and vibrant and energized, like what does that look like for you? And like, it's interesting, different things are going to come up for different people, but I think that's really important to just kind of think about when we're planning out how we want to eat for energy, right? So for some of you, it'll be like, oh, like eating like a high fat keto meal with like beautiful fats, quality protein, and lots of like leafy greens. That feels like light, and I feel really good eating that. There's no bloating. I digest it well. For others of you, that might not be the case, and it might look totally different. So I want you to explore in your mind what that looks like, and channel that into making like a really bomb meal plan for yourself.
Yay.
But yeah, at the end of all of this, I think it's, we're talking about like when we think about resolutions, we think about what we want in the new year. There's a lot of weight focused goals out there. And we always set these little intentions like, oh, I want to lose this weight, or, I want to be able to, in some of the cases with adrenal fatigue, I want to be able to eat more things because right now I'm so limited. I'm burdened by allergies or leaky guts kind of holding me back. But let's like step away from all the complexity and just set an intention that's simple and kind of hones in on all of the things and addresses all of them at once. And it's eating with a purpose, and eating for nourishment and eating for energy. And when you eat with purpose, and you kind of bring a mindful component to the way that you craft your meals, the way that you plan, what groceries you're going to buy, the way that you food prep, the way that you even physically eat the food, it kind of shifts things. And you'll find that not only will you opt for healthier choices, like you'll opt for more whole foods, we actually digest it better too if you're eating more mindfully. And that's great for digestion. And when your digestion improves, that will help improve maybe the allergies. That's great for the weight loss. It's great for your metabolism. So it hones in on all of the things. So how can we pick one thing that's simple, that's light, that kind of addresses all things, but without the song and dance of being complicated or stressful in any way? That's what I dream of for you guys.
Okay.
So on that note, with hormonal issues, so like in the adrenal fatigue world, blood sugar balance is always something that I'm like hitting that nail in all the time. So important. So, however you choose to eat, I think the most important place, like one of the most important pieces is just being mindful of how much you eat. And remember, like, it's possible to overeat good things. So just managing your portion sizes so that you can keep your blood sugar like nice and beautifully balanced. It's going to be so good for your energy. It takes away the burden that you put on the digestive system when you overeat consistently. It's the number one thing, guys. So if you have to pick one light thing, if you're resisting changing things in your diet, you don't really want to. If it seems too stressful to like make a meal plan right now, buy a bunch of new foods that may seem foreign to you, but you want to do something better, let's start with portions. So I think that's a really simple place to start. Filling your plate once, and eating it mindfully, chewing your food really well, and eating until you're satisfied, not until you're full. Like if you're eating to the point that you're stuffed and you're like undoing your top button, that kind of feeling, you've overdone it and you're going to feel tired. I know we've all kind of been there at some point, but like when you eat really heavy, that's that heavy feeling that it's not great for our energy. It's going to keep us feeling kind of weighed down, bogged down, not like our healthiest, sexiest versions of ourselves.
It reminds me of this, what you're talking about a lot, of just like eating purposefully is, do we eat to live or live to eat? So it's not that we can't enjoy eating, like we should enjoy it and there's no judgment, and like treating yourself occasionally, but it's like, and can we find cool alternatives to treat ourselves too, right? Because like, I mean, you guys, we have an amazing cookbook that Danielle has created. Danielle is not only a holistic nutritionist, she's also an amazing like adrenal hormone expert. So it's just like she has all of the tools that you need to like create this amazing cookbook. And then we have, we have our membership program. We have our Fatigue to Fabulous signature mentorship program. All of these things that support you with the diet pieces, right? Because you don't have to like figure it all out on your own. She's, you're talking about meal planning, Danielle, but like, if people want assistance with that, we have, support for that. So I just wanted to mention it.
Thanks. Yeah. And in the Eat to Beat Fatigue recipe book that you mentioned, Angela, I do lay out portion control guide. So you'll know exactly how much you should be eating at each meal. And there's meal plan samples and tons of inspiration there. If you want that structure, if you need some guidance on how to eat for better hormones, better digestion, and keeping in mind that I'm by no means a chef. I am like a home cook, if you will. So the recipes that I've shared in there are really simple to make.
That's what's great about it, is it's not, it's not elaborate, and none of us a lot of us don't want to spend all that time in the kitchen, or we don't have the energy right now, right, to a lot of people in our community. So I love how you keep things simple, and just even the smoothies alone, I go to those a lot, especially at night when I'm craving something sweet and I'm about to like, want to eat all these processed carbs or whatnot. And I turn to like all your amazing smoothie recipes that are just like, and always going to help me with those cravings. So anyway. Thank you. Yeah.
That's what they're there for. Yeah. And I do have a section in there, morning tonics and coffee alternatives. That's really popular. If you need something midday, like a snack or that time of day, 3:00, when you would be reaching for coffee, how can you energize better?
Yes.
Might not give you the same kick as a big cup of coffee, but it'll be so much better for your hormones, and it will give you a nice lift that won't interfere with your sleep later either. So super important. So if you guys are struggling with that, the recipe book is there for you. But yeah, thanks, Angela, for mentioning that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, some of us are overeating good food, like I said, and then there's the other side of things where maybe we're crushing pizza, we're drinking the wine, eating the chips, eating all the chocolate. And oftentimes, there's an emotional there's emotions at play when we're eating this way, and we're trying to fill ourselves up with something. So coming back to just like the self-exploration that we've kind of been diving into today, like if this is you, if you're prone to overeating anything, you know, good food or bad, what is it that you're really trying to fill yourself up with? Like, are you eating if you're eating mindfully and with a purpose, you know, for fuel, and if you keep that intention with you when you start a meal, it's going to help prevent that. So that's one thing I want you to keep close to you. But I do want you to explore if overeating is something that you struggle with, or something that resonates with you. I want you to explore what you're trying to fill yourself up with, and ask yourself, like, is there something else or another place I could get this instead of food, something that's going to be more supportive to your recovery?
It's such a powerful question, and it's really deep, and it can really, again, one of those questions that kind of pisses people off.
What do you mean, Danielle? I know.
You know, because it's like, I actually had a client recently who found herself, you know, kind of having that like binge feeling of wanting to eat a bunch of, like, she was eating chips at like 10 o'clock at night or something, you know, and just kind of like, and she totally had a cool awareness though, because we had been working together. She had this awareness of like, wow, I was really like, I am a mother now, and I feel like I just want to be like, have no responsibilities and just go back to being, you know, that young person again. And I miss being sort of a rebel, or, you know, sort of, you know, having that spark and zest for life. And it was like, and that was what she was very aware at that moment, that that's why she was eating. It was like this need for something else. So what a cool awareness to have. And then when you have that awareness, it's like, okay, well, then I don't really need to eat necessarily in order to fill that. I can do that in other ways. So this is such a cool question. Thank you, Danielle.
And the cool thing about this day and age is that there's so much at our fingertips that we can turn to help move us through, you know, the feeling that we might be trying to fill, or, you know, that void. So like, there's apps at our fingertips, or YouTube, where we can find guided meditations to just bring us back to a present moment, or to help us release certain feelings that we might be feeling. I know that I know, Angela, that you talk about this a lot, but like, I know for many of us, it can be really hard to turn to something like that in those moments, just because it's not something we've done before. It's new. It's kind of uncomfortable. We might feel like we're bad at meditating, but I promise you, just like stepping into it, participating in it, and practicing, because it is a continual practice, there's so much power there. And it's crazy how it can shift things for you. Something simple like that, even just 5 or 10 minutes. Like, it doesn't have to be long.
Nope, does not have to be long. That's a myth. You have to just meditate for 20 minutes a day or whatever. And that's why I created the meditation album, just for those reasons. Is just like, you know, it doesn't take longer than a few minutes to just shift the thinking, calm the mind. And when we don't want to do it is when we're in it. And that's like obviously the time that we could use it the most. So, you know.
Yeah, the
You can
hardest
choose
part.
it, or you don't have to choose it, but knowing that if you choose it, something different might show up. That's the cool thing, is remembering, like, there's no judgment. You have this choice or this choice, and you're not bad for not choosing it. It's just like, okay, if you want things to shift and show up differently in your world, then choose the other thing and see how that, like, try that on for size, see how it works for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about your meditation album too. I keep it on my phone, and let's be real, oftentimes our phone isn't too far from us when we're eating. I'm hoping that we're eating mindfully, so not like scrolling the Instagram while we're like scarfing our food, because that takes away the presence, you know, and the mindfulness in the act of eating. But our phones are never too far from hand, and I love having the From Chaos to Calm meditations on my phone, Angela, and just to like hear your voice bliss me out. And like, what's cool about her meditation album, guys, is that it's actually tailored for hormonal issues and adrenal fatigue. So like the different things that you are probably struggling with, whether it be digestion or like excess cortisol, you know, that those sort of things, like she has meditation specifically for those. And it's really cool what it can just like awaken in your body and kind of shift, because it's so targeted. I love it.
Well, I've been there, so I know. And that's it was really such a gift to be able to do it, was because I know how it feels. And so I was able to come from that place of really being able to feel what it feels like to be in it. And here is how I've gotten out of it. So I want to take you through the same journey. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, guys, check it out. Check it out if that feels like something that you could use. but we're talking about tools, right? So an abundance of tools is what we want to give you guys. And one of the greatest tools or apps when it comes to like eating better, eating more mindfully, eating with purpose is honestly just planning. And it's cool. Like I take time. There's a lot of things that I could say about planning. And I feel like we know the importance, right? We know the importance of being prepared and getting groceries. And like, we know how influential it can be to prep food in advance and have things ready when we need it. And I see this all the time in nutrition practice working with clients. Like this can make or break you, coming home hungry and you want a quick snack, and having stuff on hand that you can just like reach in the fridge. You have snacks ready, or like dinner is ready to go. You just have to either heat it up because you've batch cooked in advance, or you have everything like chopped and prepped and ready to just whip something super healthy and nourishing up. Like that's what's going to help keep you consistent. And consistency is what's going to get you to the next level in your recovery, because you can't just do these things sometimes, right? You have to be consistent with them. And so make a plan, get the groceries, spend time prepping, batch cook, divvy things up, chop, wash, do what you need to do to have recipes ready to like whip up quickly, like I said. Even put them in glass Tupperwares so that like the portions are already divvied up for you. You just grab your salad, or you're reheating a portion that's just kind of, the rest is cold and you don't want to heat it up. Like that's your dinner. You've done all the work in advance. It's going to make it so much easier for you guys. But while you plan, like while you're sitting down thinking about how you want to eat this year, what groceries you want to buy, I really encourage you to do like a little bit of intuitive searching, like into the way that you've currently been eating. And that's asking yourselves questions like, what about my current diet? Like, what about what I'm eating right now isn't serving me? Like, is there a food I'm eating or a type of food I'm eating that intuitively doesn't feel good? A lot of times we don't actually stop. We might have preconceived notions of what we should or shouldn't be eating, but we don't actually stop to think about like, okay, are there any foods that I know that aren't like sitting well or resonating well with me right now? And just see what comes up for you.
That really rings true to me. I got the chills when you asked it, because it's different for everybody too, right? We don't want to say like, okay, Danielle's going to say that you're wrong for choosing this thing, right? Or that thing. It's like, what is best? It's really about what it was working for you and your body, not what's working for the person next to you, or, your spouse or your partner. Or
100%. And I know there's a lot of people out there, and this might be highly debated, but like they'll say it's impossible to recover as a vegan or as a vegetarian. Like you have to eat more of this style, more paleo style, like get rid of the grains. And there's therapeutic uses for foods that make sense in a lot of different scenarios. But I think that we have an innate knowing what our body likes and needs. And I never would want you to ignore that.
Yeah.
Unless you're sitting there telling me like, well, my body only wants Oreos. Maybe we need to explore something like that a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I think that your body has this innate knowing. And I see this a lot with meat. People are eating meat because they feel like they need it for the protein and the nourishment, but it doesn't feel right to them. And I think if you have like a bad energy that you're eating the food with, I think that there's an effect there that is worth considering. So ask yourself the question, what about your current diet isn't serving you? Like, what do I need to let go of and explore, see how it feels? But what is? Like, what feels really good? What feels light? Like, what is, is there any cravings that you've had recently that you're being called to, that maybe you need to explore as well? And I think that's really cool. What's your body calling for?
Yes.
And how can you build this into your plan?
Right. Love it. Because people also think, even with sugar, it's like, oh, I crave sugar. And it's like, well, it's okay. Your body needs sugar. It lives on sugar. But what is the sugar that's going to make you feel good afterwards and not going to create, spikes and all those types of things? So just kind of wanted to share that too. And salt, like our body needs salt. So like, how can we just give it that, but in a way that's actually going to serve our bodies and feel good afterwards?
Yeah, I love that you said that. So yeah, if you're craving sugar all the time, okay, that could be part of the sugar addiction picture.
Sure.
But if you're focusing on eating mindfully and like eating with purpose, so you're eating good fuel, wholesome fuel, what kind of sugars are you going to feed your body, right? You want to feed your body the most nourishing type. You don't want the white stuff that's like just refined with like an absolutely like zero benefit other than like tasting super sweet and quick energy. Like what about sweet potato or some beautiful fruit or, something like that, like a beet, carrots, like what colorful veggies with abundant of antioxidants and vitamins and minerals like that are going to actually support your adrenals and support detoxification in your body and your hormones. Like how can you hit all these things with one stone, right?
That's why I love like one of your smoothies, and it's just like, it's pretty simple smoothie. It has like 5 or 6 ingredients, and it has cherries, and it's just that alone, like can just help me with my sugar craving. And that's, I think, the only thing that's really sweet in it, and it works, and it's like, oh yeah, I can totally nourish myself with that sugar and it feels so good. And I'm still getting to kind of get that craving, support that craving. So yay.
Nice. Yeah, that's what it's there for. And it's about finding the right balance for you, right? So this is what I want you guys to explore. And this is what I want you to think about when you start creating like your ultimate kick-ass meal plan for 2019. That's just going to make you feel vibrant and abundant and calm and like healthy and beautiful. Like what does that look like for you? I want you to explore it and I want you to create it for yourself. And of course, if you need guidance, we're here to help. That's what we do.
Yeah,
but
actually,
I know you have that in you as well.
totally. Yep.
Just eating with purpose.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I wanted to say today. I don't want to take up too much more time. Lord knows I could talk about food and eating and recipes all day long, but I think that's a nice place to stop today.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to sort of say that what you were saying about, if you need support, like that's what we're here for. And so I wanted to share with you that we have our Recovery Revolution membership program, which is a very low investment, but is going to be so powerful. It actually has a lot of the things that we've mentioned today. I'll share a few of them that we've already talked about, like the portion control guide. The recipe book is included in that. The meditation album, with 10 tracks is included in there. Danielle prepares an amazing meal plan, a 7-day meal plan for each month, which you can rotate, which is awesome. We have supplement protocols. We have weekly support. We have live coaching calls with you guys to help coach you and support you and give you a little bit more customized one-on-one support. What else is in there? I have my meditation training. So if you're new to meditation, or you have a lot of beliefs about what meditation is, this is like going to just kind of rock your world and tell you, really help you kind of make meditation work for you. Finally, we have a private members only Facebook group in there, where we go in and come in there with Facebook Live Q&As. And just, yeah, I think that's kind of the majority of things I just wanted to share with you, because that membership program, again, is a very low investment. We definitely have more support for you on, a deeper level with more of our signature program, but that is like a very low investment, and it's such amazing tools. Not only do we also have like the platform too, with a ton of resources on there, and we're always popping into the members area and giving you tons of content. And we have phases through the program, so it's like a protocol and a checklist to follow, so that you feel really like supported in the process. Anything else about that I'm missing?
Sounded like so much. And I guess I just want to say, like, the bottom line is we're pretty obsessed with just giving you guys the tools and the resources, but like, we're also really mindful about how overwhelmed you are. So we've done everything we can to keep it really simple for you. So if you're somebody who wants a lot of resources, you will find a lot of resources in there. You'll find meal plans, several meal plans, like months worth of meal plans now, because we've had the membership for several months now. You'll find hours and hours of Q&A calls and trainings. Like, if you want to dive in and listen to all this stuff, they're there for you. But we've also just given you really simple things to get started to help you evaluate your stage. Depending on what stage you're in, we'll show you what sort of supplement plan would be helpful based on a couple things, based on like what's going on with your adrenals and your cortisol levels. And then we're going to give you like a little, like Angela said, like a recovery roadmap. That's not too much at one time.
It's like a one-page checklist. That's it for each phase. It's super easy to follow. So yeah.
But you have to move through it slowly, and you won't move to the next phase until you're ready. So we've done everything that we can to keep it like really simple, manageable, something that you can move forward with consistently. And that's the beautiful thing about this community and the revolution, the adrenal recovery revolution, as we call it.
And some people need a lot more support, and that's where our private coaching or like our, our signature program, Fatigue to Fabulous, is the right fit. But for people who don't, we know a lot of you don't have a lot of money. That's why are stressed about money. We don't want stress to be one more thing that you're worrying about and overwhelmed about. So that's actually why we created this membership program. That's where that came out of. So if you just need like a little bit of a roadmap, just need a little extra push and a little extra support, that's what the membership is great for. Yeah. So you can learn about that. We'll have, there's going to be a link, and you can definitely find that more about that on our website. Also, just wherever this video is landing, as we're putting it in multiple places, just know that in the description or in comments, we'll have the link to the membership program, so you can learn more about it.
Yeah. Thanks, Angela.
Yeah.
I'm excited. January, we're I'd say halfway through it now, but the year has just begun, guys. So much potential that lies ahead, and let's make this the year that you get your energy back, and let's do this. And if you need help, we're here for you. And that's what we want you to know.
Okay. I'm just going to end with one little thing. Let's just close our eyes. And I'm just going to ask, and it's just, again, these are wishes out to the universe. What would it take for you to have blank, which is your word? So what would it take for you to have all the energy you desired in 2019? What would it take to finally heal from adrenal fatigue in 2019? What would it take? What would it take? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? And just be in that energy for a moment. Be in the question, be in the energy of the question, the possibility. And even it's like the energy of curiosity. So I'll leave you with that. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.